Yes. Yes. All right. Now let me answer this. Does the realization go away? No. See, notice this. Even Advaita Vedanta, if you see Vedanta Sar towards the end, it talks about what happens at the moment of realization. In fact, Vedanta Sar says the realization does go away and should go away. Two things should not persist. One is I am Satchidananda and one more is realization. There's that interesting story. Nisargadatta Maharaj was one, somebody said, Aap to Brahmagyani hai, you are a knower of Brahman. And Nisargadatta Maharaj was supposed to be a hot-tempered person. I met one person who knew him and I asked him, what is your recollection about him? He said, I got a scolding from him. So somebody said, Aap to Brahmagyani hai, you are a Brahmagyani. He immediately scolded, no, you are insulting me. Insulting? This is the highest praise, that you are an enlightened person. He said, no, I am not a Brahmagyani, I am Brahman. Yeah. This is Shankaracharya's language. I think in Vakyavritti or somewhere he says, Aham tu Brahmaiva, na tu Brahmavit. I am Manisha Panchakam. Brahmaiva na tu Brahmavit. Thank you. I am Brahman, and this remains clear to the enlightened person. Not that I am a knower of Brahman. And you don't even have to wait for the old age or Parkinson's or some Alzheimer's, deterioration of brain. Then will that remain? No. At the moment of realization, Vedanta Sara says that Brahmakara Vritti, which shows you that I realize that I am Brahman. That Vritti also is technically what is called Badhita. It appears. It's not that your knowledge will go away, but that again remains in the field of appearance. Mind is an appearance in consciousness, and the realization in the mind that I am Brahman is also an appearance in consciousness. I remain as I always was. What does realization do? It removes ignorance. Ignorance is gone forever. Then that realization also is not necessary. Sri Ramakrishna put it so beautifully. He said, if you have a thorn in your flesh, you take another thorn and remove that thorn. Then you keep the second thorn in your flesh after that? No. You throw it away also. And he says, Jnana, Ajnana functions like that. I have ignorance and I get the thorn of knowledge and I remove the ignorance and throw both away. We find it mysterious because that's not how we normally function. How we normally function is, I did not know a subject. I went to the university. I learned that subject. My ignorance is now gone, but I must hold on to the knowledge. Otherwise I'll forget. That's at the level of the mind. This is removing the ignorance about pure consciousness. Once that's gone, pure consciousness was always shining. So it remains absolutely clear. No fear. Then that gentleman there.
Swamiji, first of all, thank you so much for this wonderful talk, and Nitri, thank you so much for providing me this opportunity.
Tell us your name.
My name is Astosh. I'm a researcher, just finished my PhD, and have a couple of heart-touching questions which I find heart-touching to ask you. One is, you mentioned that during deep sleep, there is still consciousness, right? You said there is in fact pure consciousness. But if that were really the case when I woke up, I should have had the idea of how long I was in deep sleep, considering I am myself a conscious being. That's my first question. And the second question is, I'm thoroughly glued to the idea of the evolution proposed by Charles Darwin. If that's the case, if you consider everything around us, even the things that I feel as objective because I'm objectively pursuing it, what is really completely subjective?
Okay. Let me just quickly answer them. I think we have run out of time. Yeah. So I'll just answer in one sentence as far as I can. The first one is, in deep sleep, I should be aware of the passage of time. No, you won't be. To be aware of the passage of time requires time to be registered by the mind. And therefore, if the mind has shut down in deep sleep, mind and consciousness not being the same thing, that shut down state of the mind is called deep sleep. So there is no registering of any passage of time. That's the Advaitic answer to it. You require to think, even from a subjective perspective, depending on the state of your mind. You might feel something is going on far too long, or you might feel something was very exciting and it was over very fast. So that depends on the state of the mind. If the mind is shut down, no subjective perception of time. The second one you said, so from an Advaitic, why Advaitic? Even the Sankhya or yogic perspective, Darwinian evolution is entirely acceptable. That's a beautiful thing. I have found there is a whole huge, terrible debate in the United States about creationism. We will not accept the conclusions of Darwinian evolution. It's accepted by biology everywhere. In Vedanta, in Sankhya, that's not a problem. It's an evolution of the object presented to consciousness. It can evolve from very primitive forms of life to sophisticated forms of life and so on. And it is experienced by consciousness. Body evolves, mind also evolves, external universe, environments change. All that is fine with the idea of, compatible with the idea of consciousness. In fact, in Patanjali Yoga Sutras, you find a sort of proto-evolution idea. Monier Williams, who compiled the first Sanskrit dictionary, he says, these ancient Hindus were Darwinists 1,000 years before Darwin. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Swamiji, for these beautiful insights. I now request the Director of NIMHANS, Dr. Pratima Murthy, to deliver the presidential address.
I assure you there is no presidential address, not after this talk. I think it was such a joy to listen. You know, I never thought the joy of debate would be so enthralling. Thank you so much, Swamiji. I think it's been wonderful for all of us. And we looked at so many different aspects of a coin, including the experience of this examination. And I think that was so wonderful. And this ultimate subjective experience. I'll also go away with this promissory materialism, which I also pursue. And I'm not just a director, I'm also a psychiatrist. So at times during your talk, there was some self-doubt. But then I ended up feeling that there is a section of people that I am helping tremendously. But of course, there is so much I can take away in terms of the three important things that you mentioned, which is oneness, which is equanimity, and detachment. I think those are very, very important things that we need to teach people. And therefore, there cannot have been a better place than NIMHANS for you to be delivering this talk, because these are themes. Equanimity, for example, is in some ways the emblem of NIMHANS. And therefore, I think, and we've always looked to integrate in Indian philosophy with modern neuroscience. And therefore, I believe it's an exciting, and I'm sure it was an enthralling afternoon for all of us. In some ways, Swami Sarvapriyananda is doing what Swami Vivekananda did several decades ago. And the audience today, I was conscious of the fact that there was lots of people perhaps who couldn't get into the hall, because I could hear some murmurings outside, and there are a lot of people online as well. So I think your talk today, especially your deep understanding, not just of Indian philosophy, but so many different approaches to philosophy, particularly, of course, the Advaita Vedanta reflects in how you kind of told us about these complex philosophies in a language that most of us, I think, understood. I'm not so sure we really understood everything, but I think we kind of are making progress towards it. So we've heard you before at the conference, and I think you have an amazing knack to be a bridge between science and spirituality, but also tell us that there is certainly some kind of a separation in terms of the mind and the conscious experience. And you took us very logically from a world, on a journey in the world of mind and consciousness. And we've got to learn a lot from this. Of course, consciousness remains the unresolved mystery of science. We've just heard about the limitations of the brain and the mind and how we need to perhaps overcome these roadblocks. We need to continue to do that. And perhaps there are lots of invaluable insights from Advaita Vedanta and Indian philosophy to kind of deal with various intractable problems. You mentioned pain, both physical pain and emotional pain, which is something a lot of people can perhaps use some of these simple ways of looking at both objects as well as a subjective experience to overcome that. So I think there's a lot we can learn in terms of not just the philosophy of Vedanta, but also how to be better clinicians, how to be better human beings, and ultimately translate that understanding to making us better people at a much larger level. And therefore, I hope that these dialogues that will integrate the wisdom and insights that we have with the learnings of modern neuroscience, which we are trained to do, and that I believe is the need of the hour. Swami Vivekananda famously said, every nation has a message to deliver, a mission to fulfill, and a destiny to reach. The mission of India has been to guide humanity, and I do hope that the insights that you provided will exactly help us to fulfill those missions and to guide humanity to a better state of experience and evolution. Thank you very much once again, and I thank everybody who's here with us today. And I just want to end by saying I deliberately did not take the names of specific people in the audience today. I appreciate every single person who's here today, and I think that really describes the oneness of us all. Thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am. We now request the director, registrar, and the deans and Dr. Ravindra to felicitate Swamiji.